Recently, Trump made statements suggesting that Canada should be a U.S. state, and that the Panama Canal actually belongs to the U.S. In addition to these, he reiterated his desire to buy Greenland. In fact, shortly after these statements, his son Eric Trump shared a tweet where he placed these three regions into a symbolic shopping basket. This initiative is underpinned by a vision of making America a great power again. So, what does all this signify? Underlying this initiative, the vision of making America a great state again. So what does all this signify? Let me help you understand the events. If you'd like to help me out, you can like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's start with Greenland, also known as Kalalit Nunaat. This is a summary region located in North America, but its citizens are considered European. These ice-covered lands are connected to Denmark, which is 50 times smaller, and therefore have been recognized as European territory for over 300 years. So we can actually say that Canada is a country that borders Europe. However, things are much more complicated than they seem. In short, this situation allows Denmark to be an intercontinental country, and the citizens of Greenland to be considered European. After becoming a self-governing territory in 1979, they separated from the European Union through a referendum held in 1985. I can say that they made history, as the first country to leave the European Union at that time. However, despite all this, Denmark still militarily defends these territories and controls most of the foreign policy. The interesting thing is that these lands are almost completely surrounded by glaciers and are also the largest island in the world. However, the map projections you are looking at might be misleading you. Because when you look at this island on a two-dimensional map, it appears to be almost as big as Africa. But actually, that's not the case, with an area of 2,166,000 square kilometers. It's almost 2.5 times larger than Turkey. On the other hand, since I mentioned it's the largest island, some of you might be comparing it to Australia. In fact, you could say you're somewhat justified for this reason, because Australia is larger than Greenland. But Australia is a continent, and for that reason it can't be included in the list of the largest islands. So we can simply use the following phrase for Greenland: the largest island in the world that is not a continent. However, despite its impressive size, only 56,000 people live on the island. Therefore, they have a smaller population than Tunsili, which has the lowest population in our country. Despite this geographical size, they are considered the most sparsely populated region in the world due to their low population. On the other hand, although the country is thought to be completely covered in ice, actually 20% of the land is green. The livable areas are mostly located along the coastline. About 33% of the population already is in the capital located on the west coast. The remaining percentage scattered along the country's west coast. However, the indigenous people living here actually belong to the Inuit origin, so they are not genetically European. So, despite all this, why does Trump want these lands with such a small population and filled with glaciers? Actually, Trump's desires aren't something new. He first expressed this desire in 2019. However, the United States' desire to annex Greenland goes back much further. In 1867, U.S. Secretary of State William Seward considered making an offer for Greenland, but after purchasing Alaska, they abandoned this idea. Then, in 1910, another offer was made, and Denmark officially considered this proposal. They even suggested swapping Greenland for Mindanao, which is a Muslim autonomous region located in the Philippines today. Denmark's desire was to give Mindanao to Germany in exchange for acquiring Germany's northern territories. However, these exchanges did not happen. On the other hand, the year the United States was close to buying Greenland was 1946. At that time, they offered Denmark gold worth $100 million, but Denmark did not accept this offer. But don't let what I've said mislead you. Both countries may not have been able to reach any agreement regarding the purchase so far. However, the events are a bit different than they appear. During World War II, Greenland was located in a strategically very important position. For this reason, the U.S. established military bases here to prevent Nazi Germany from occupying the island. In fact, after the war ended, discussions were held between the two countries regarding the status of Greenland. As a result, Greenland was granted home rule in 1979. This situation allowed them to have more say in their internal affairs. Thus, they left the European Union with a referendum held in 1985. In 2009, the local population was granted broader autonomy rights. These rights gave them the power to establish their own government and manage many of their affairs. As a result, there are currently American bases on this ice-covered island. Who knows, maybe the people could hold a referendum in the future to join the US, just like they did when they left the European Union in the past. To tell the truth, Taurus will also be free of its ice in the coming years. Thus, the value of the lands rich in oil, natural gas, coal, zinc, copper, and iron will significantly increase. For those who don't know, I should mention that northeast Greenland has the potential to be one of the largest oil reserves in the world. According to estimates, there are 31 billion barrels of oil reserves in the continental shelf of East Greenland. In the Arctic regions, it is estimated that there are a total of 90 billion barrels of oil and 1.669 trillion cubic meters of natural gas. Aren't those numbers just huge? This massive island was completely covered in ice in the past, making it quite difficult to extract these resources. However, with global warming, this situation has started to reverse. For this very reason, many countries have set their sights on the island. Among these countries are Russia and China. Of course, the natural resources I've mentioned are just the visible part of the picture, because maritime trade will shift northward to the glaciers in the coming years. At this point, the trade route will hold significant strategic importance for global trade. If the US takes control of Greenland, it will increase its dominance over the Arctic trade route. This route is also critically important for China and the Western world. For countries looking to make trade routes shorter and more efficient, Greenland is a strategic transit point. Especially in recent years, shipping companies have shortened travel times by using icebreaker ships and passing through the Arctic. Although using this route is quite difficult right now, in the future, there won't be a need for such actions, because by the year 2060, this route will be completely open during a periodic calendar between August and September. In other words, this route will become one of the most important economic regions in the world in the coming years. Because by the year 2060, this route will be completely open during a periodic calendar between August and September. So this route will become one of the most important economic regions in the world in the coming years. As you may have noticed, Greenland is right in the heart of this region. That's why Donald Trump clearly expresses the strategic importance of Greenland and believes that the US should take control of it. However, it seems that Denmark will reject this request, just like it has in the past. Because after Trump's statements, they not only announced that the island is definitely not for sale, they also stated that they would significantly increase defense spending related to Greenland. At this point, I'm asking you this question. Can these statements stop Trump? Of course, we will see the answers to all of this in the coming days. Trump hasn't taken office yet. However, despite this, he finds the fees charged to American ships using the Panama Canal to be high. It accuses Panama of being under Chinese influence. He even said that if they don't fulfill this request, he would take the canal back. Panama's president, Raul Molina, tweeted that such a thing is not possible. But Trump has no intention of backing down. As you know, he had also made statements regarding Canada. Canada's 51st United States. He's expressing that it should be a state because just like Greenland, Canada is a country located on the Arctic route. Due to the effects of global warming, Greenland and Canada could become much more important regions in the coming years. Trump, on the other hand, is making all these statements because he is afraid of the actions taken by China as America begins to return to its former power. I'm going to make a bit of a bold statement, but in my opinion, Trump will weaken the US day by day, and it seems like the US will lose its authoritarian power. So what do you think about this? Share your thoughts with us by leaving a comment. Even though I've said everything I wanted to about the topic, if you're interested in interesting borders, there's one last piece of information I'd like to share with you. Hans Island is located just 10 kilometers away from Canada or Greenland. So according to international maritime law, these two countries are in a position to claim rights over the area. These two countries had already reached an agreement on the borders of the strait in 1973. But there was something they overlooked. It wasn't clear which country this small island belonged to. In the meantime, Canada sent troops to the island in 1984 and planted the Canadian flag there. But that wasn't the only thing they did. They placed a bottle of Canadian whiskey right next to the flag. A few weeks after this incident, Denmark's minister responsible for Greenland went to the island and replaced the Canadian flag with the Danish flag. Then he left a bottle of Danish liquor next to it. And thus the Whiskey Wars began. In the following years, Canadian and Danish officials continued to visit the island frequently, repeating the same ritual. In June 2022, this sweet rivalry finally came to a conclusion. The foreign ministers of the two countries met in Ottawa and divided the island in half. Before this agreement, Denmark's only land neighbor was Germany, and Canada's only land neighbor was the United States. However, after this agreement, both countries officially became land neighbors. Yes, Canada and Denmark are officially land neighbors, despite being thousands of miles apart. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening to me up to this point. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe on the way to 1 million. See you in the next video. Take care of yourselves, stay healthy, and in peace.